What's up, everybody? This is your boy, Matt Taylor, and welcome to the Matt Taylor Podcast. I hope you all are having a wonderful day, whatever time of day you are watching this podcast. It may be nighttime, morning time, evening time, noon time, whatever time of day it is. I just want to tell you thank you for joining and tuning in to this wonderful podcast. This is going to be exciting. I am so excited about this. This is something that I've been working on for a little while now, and I'm so excited to finally be kicking it off. I have so many friends that ask me all the time, like, "Hey, bro, you should do a podcast. You should talk and have conversations and things like that with different people." So I was like, all right, cool, let's do it. So I'm so glad to be doing it, to be finally doing it. And I hope you guys enjoy some of the content that I will be releasing and sharing with you all. Please, while you're watching this video, please comment, like, and share this video. If you are on YouTube, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's just one click. All right. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, this is a sole proprietor podcast, so I am funding all of this myself. So if you would like to contribute to this podcast, be a sponsor of an episode, or if you have a business, or if you have a small business, big business, if you're an artist or anything like that, and you would like to get information on how we can put your content up on this podcast, please feel free to DM me. You can email me. My email will pop up at the bottom of this screen here. You can email us directly to the show, and as well, you can DM me on any of my social media platforms. But please like, comment, share, subscribe. That's how you can really be a really good contributor to this show. Also, like I said, we do have I'm funding this show all by myself, so if you would like to contribute monetarily, you can also do that as well. The show's Cash App will pop up down here or up here or over there somewhere on the screen, wherever my producer would like to put that. So our show podcast we do have our own Cash App, and so you can Cash App us if you would like $1, $2, 50 cents, $50, whatever it may be. Definitely will be greatly appreciated. Also, I want to shout out my producer Cohen and my sound engineer Ari, who does a great job, and I'm definitely excited to be working with them as well. So shout out to them for helping me out with this podcast. All right, but let's get right into it, guys. I know you guys didn't come and join this podcast just to hear me babble about certain little things. So let's talk. So this is the 17th of August. So you guys are probably going to be seeing this episode sometime next week or so. And just to give you guys an insight of my podcast, this podcast is going to be something that is going to open up conversations, and I want this podcast to be somewhere where people can come to and tell their life stories, learn. We're going to talk about a lot of different topics. We're going to talk about religion. We're going to talk about politics. We're going to talk about finances. We're going to talk about relationships. We're going to talk about all different types of topics. And I'm so excited. I have a list of guests who are going to be coming on this show, and hopefully some of these guests you may or may not know. But hopefully at the end of their episode, you will be able to learn more about them and more about their walk of life. But today, for my very first episode of the Matt Taylor Podcast, I will actually be having my father, who's going to be our first guest for this podcast. My father is an entrepreneur. He has been in my life all of my life, and we have had candid conversations before, and I'm excited to learn more about him and have more conversation with him, and I hope that you guys are excited as well. So please stay tuned. I'm going to bring him on this show in just a couple moments here. So please stay tuned. And like I said, please like, comment, share this podcast. If you are on YouTube, please subscribe to this podcast. That will be greatly, greatly appreciated. And all of my socials will be in the description and as well on the bottom of this screen. So thank you so much for tuning in. And my guest will be joining me in just a moment. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Matt Taylor podcast. Again, thank you for joining me on my very first episode number 1. And like I told you guys earlier in the video, we have a special guest with us for my very, very first episode. And it is my father. As you can see on the screen, we definitely look alike. Now that I'm looking at the screen, I'm like, dang, yeah, we definitely look alike. So, without further ado, what's up, Dad? Thank you for joining the podcast, episode 1.
What's up? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And I feel honored being the first guest.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. This is going to be fun. This is going to be really, really fun. I was talking to Cohen and Ari, who is my producer and sound engineer. And the last few weeks, we've been trying to come up with ideas for the podcast and things like that. And earlier today, I was thinking, I was like, let me do a test podcast, but this can be like episode number 1. And I was like, let me just hit up my dad, see if he's available, because I was actually going to wait to do this episode when you came out here in September, but I was like, let's go ahead and do it now, just as a test run. And it's my very first episode, so it's like, why not invite you on? So I'm glad you're able to squeeze me in your schedule and join us tonight for this podcast. And this is August 17th, but we're not going to probably post this podcast until next week. So we are pre-recording, everybody. So just so you can know, just for the first few episodes, and then we might be doing some live shows coming up. So stay tuned for that. But Dad, welcome to the pod. How you doing today? You all right?
Real good. I just got off of live myself, so but I'm very honored to be here, and I wouldn't miss this opportunity. I do count it an opportunity. I do not count it less than that just because you're my son.
I appreciate that. Well, let's dive into it. So like the gist of my podcast is to allow people to come on and to share stories about themselves, to let us know what you have going on as far as currently, as far as businesses and things like that. And I know you are an entrepreneur, and but we're going to talk about all of that in the podcast. But I want to start at the beginning. I know a lot of your story about how you grew up and things like that, and where you came from. And you were raised and born in Mississippi. And talk about your upbringing. Like, what are some highlights and some things that you remember that stand out? About your upbringing that may help you in life today.
Um, that's very important. I didn't know where you were going with this. You didn't prep me or
I
anything like
didn't.
that.
Well, this is a candid show. We talk candidly. So,
But I appreciate that, and I can talk about that forever because it stems around family. When you talk about how I was raised and how I was born, it all goes back to family, and you have experienced that, and your some of the some of your experiences that you even had is based on or come from that foundation that I was given from my parents. Being the youngest of 12 kids, you see a lot, and you also miss a lot. Miss a lot. Not miss as in I missed out on something, because I remember my sister saying once that a lot of times our parents were so great to all 12 kids. We felt like the only child sometimes. That's how um, good and able they was able to. That's how good they was able to navigate the family
Mm-hmm.
and make us feel like we were an only child.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, being the youngest, when I said I missed a lot, not as in missing out, but some things that I didn't have to experience because I was the youngest. Uh, some things I did experience because I was the youngest that perhaps they did not experience, my older siblings. So it all stems around family for me. And being the age that I am, now 52, I have nieces and nephews that's older than me. Being the and that's my age. So being the youngest, I also, came up almost in a different generation than my older siblings, or at least probably half of my older siblings.
Right.
So it all stems around family.
And you grew up both of your parents in the household, which I was fortunate enough to have that same experience. And I have a lot of friends and that weren't fortunate enough to have both parents in the home. Um, I was never I wasn't able to meet my grandfather, your father. But talk about him and talk about his impact on your life.
Yeah, the greatest impact that my father had on me was, I think, work ethic. And it wasn't from the sense of you got to do this, you got to do that. It was from watching him and how hard he worked. And I know I didn't want to do that
Mm-hmm.
for for small amounts of of income.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned earlier that entrepreneurial. Well, the reason why is because I tried to not. Well, I learned from my father what I didn't want to be able to. Let me go back because I don't want it to seem like we were poor, we were struggling and all that because I did not know what that was.
Right.
In fact, as I got older, I realized that we had so much less than thought that I really knew we had. That's how our parents were to us. They always had things. We always had food. We always had, housing. We always had clothes. So I never experienced and never knew until I got older how how much we didn't have.
Right.
But but no, so I learned from my father work ethic. That's the biggest thing I probably learned from him. And he taught me without saying do this or do that. I just watched him basically to help to understand that I didn't want that. He worked on a farm. In fact, ran the farm. However, it still was not a glamorous position. Although, if you look at it now, he was almost like the CEO of the farm. You know, so many people gave so many people jobs. He hired so many people. He taught us how to work and all of that. But it was still working in the mud. It was nothing for him to get a phone call at night to go find the boss man's hunting dogs. Think about that.
Yeah.
They've been all day. So the dogs has just gone astray and didn't really come back when they came back. And my father would get a call at 9 and 10 o'clock at night to go find dogs. Think about that. That is on thousands of acres.
Wow.
You know. So and a lot of times I was the youngest. I was at home. I was available. Sometimes fall asleep, but my mom would ask me to go and ride with him just to, he'll get a call that one of the employees have, you know, whether got drunk and ran off the road at night or whatever. Well, the boss wanted that person at work the next day. So
Right.
my father would go and go and get he had access to all the millions of dollars of equipment, tractors and all of that on the farm. He would go and get that and go and pull someone out of a ditch.
Wow.
You know, I know I didn't want that.
Right.
So I had a whole different mindset, and it was not, that parental finger saying you must do this. It was here and what I see. So from my visual perspective and this perspective I was able to gain just from seeing that, I know I didn't want that. So that's what he taught me the most: work ethic. And I just wish I was able to. You were born in '92. My father passed away in '91. I was able to show him. It's almost like, look, Dad, I made it,
Right.
and because of a whole lot of things and a whole lot of stuff, it was that I learned something from you. I was able to see, what you did, and it positioned me to know this is how you do it, son.
I think in life, a lot of times I think my outlook on life now that I'm older, I think that the biggest lesson in life is through experiences and through watching others go through their own experience, and you can learn from them, whether it be good or bad,
Mhm.
especially like your parents. I've watched you and mom have a lot of ups and downs and things like that, whether it be good or bad, but it's just things that we go through in life that are just inevitable, that we have to go through in order for us to become better people, um and a better man, a better woman, whatever,
Yeah.
so by you saying that you watched him, um a lot of times you may not have had those one-on-one conversation of this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do, but just by watching him helped you as a man, especially as a younger man, and he was a little bit older, and had grandkids, and like you said, you have nieces and nephews the same age as you, and some are older than you. So that's really interesting to hear. That's very interesting. So you moved to California in 91, right?
Yes.
91, and I was born in 92. Um and I remember being young. I remember you working and stuff like that for other companies, but I remember when you got sick, and I was in the 5th grade when you got sick, and
Mhm.
you had viral meningitis. Could you explain like what viral meningitis is? Like I have an idea of what it is, but I never really had a grasp on like what viral meningitis, was.
Yeah. The most interesting thing is, they that's something that they picked because there was so much going on at the time, and they says it must be this.
Uh-huh.
Um, from what I understand, they were thinking West Niles. They was thinking, a whole lot of things, but then they settled on viral meningitis. And viral meningitis is the swelling of the brain, which is different from spinal meningitis.
Mm-hmm.
Spinal meningitis is fluid on the spine. Viral meningitis is the swelling of the brain. Most babies get it. Most college students get it. They don't know why this happens, but this is where it has mostly been. However, with me, it was totally different. Just waking up. Well, first, being a little disoriented the night before, and you guys probably don't even know about this. And my your mom says, you're not going into the office tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
but I end up getting getting my friend to come over and take me to the office that I was working at, and he was like, "Something's not right about him. That's going on." Now I did all of this, the next day,
Yeah.
and to me, not to cut out a whole lot of it, but to me, it was just like I went to sleep and woke up. But for you guys, it was 8 weeks of struggle. Like, I was for those 6 to 8 weeks.
Right.
But yeah, to me, it was just like I went to sleep and woke up. However, there was something behind that too, but I believe it was all because of what God was doing in my life at the time, and was wanting me to do in the direction that He wanted me to go in at the time. But viral meningitis is a swelling of the brain, and that's basically what it is.
Now, like coming out of that, like you said, you were in a coma for 6 to 8 weeks, and coming out of that, you had to go to rehab and relearn how to walk and talk and all type of things, and you
Mhm.
weren't able to go back to your career that you had previously, partly because of your sickness and what you were dealing with, and but you are you're a hustler. You get out there, and you going you're the type of person that's not gonna let something get them down. And is that where you kind of was like, okay, I need to do something because I have to take care of my family and things like that. And is that where the switch came for you to become more of an entrepreneur and say, you know what, let me figure out a different path here?
Mm. So one of the things that happened, so right before I had started this transition already, right before I got sick. Right before I got sick, I was just leaving, getting ready to start my own business. As a matter of fact, the office that I was going to when I got sick was an office that I was starting to lease from the church.
Okay.
Um, to build my own thing at that particular time. But right before I got sick, the last corporate job I had, um, I was working on that job for 5 years. The most the company had ever made was like $9 million. Well, I was the sales and marketing director. When I left there in 5 years, when they asked me to leave there in 5 years, the company was at $19 million in 5 years.
Mm.
From $9 million, so I turned the company, was headed on a very nice trajectory. I can tell you today that same company sold a few years ago for over $100 million. The I was the director of sales and marketing. But when they moved me around, I promised, I says, I will never work for anyone else again. The next empire I build is going to be my own. I'll never work for anyone again. And I haven't worked for anyone again.
All right. So, after that company, after that whole uh thing happened with that company, you were saying that you wanted to build your own empire, and what was like the biggest motivation behind that, like wanting to build your own empire?
Um, First of all, I didn't want to be someone else to be able to dictate when I cannot work.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it was literally 1 year after 9/11 that they called me in and says, your sales and marketing department is amazing. We don't know what we would have done without you.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I was about to get another raise or something. And just to show you, companies doesn't do this, but I got two raises in 1 year and a position change in 1 year. That's how fast I was growing the company. Um, After which they told me in the same meeting, but we're going to close your department down. And I said, it doesn't make sense. They said, because sales and marketing is so great that the company can run just by customer service managing the department
Mm.
in all accounts. So no sales and marketing. It's almost like we grew the market out and positioned people to be able to work in other positions. I'm friends with some of those same people today that used to work for me, and they told me it's one of the best experiences and the best positions I was ever able to put them in.
Mm.
So that's what I didn't want to happen again. I wanted to take back control over the narrative of my work life. I had 5 kids at the time. I didn't want someone else to dictate, so I wanted to create my own way. Was my motivation. In addition to that, um, watching your mom get up to go to work every day
Mm-hmm.
while I lay in the bed, although I was getting income because I was now on Social Security disability. In addition to that, I tried to do everything around the house that I could, but as a man, it still did not sit well with me.
Right.
Did not sit well with me, and I did not want your mother. I wanted it to be a choice for your mother to go to work. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want it to be that she had to go, and it was the hardest thing for me, laying in a hospital bed downstairs, and she's upstairs in our bedroom, and I'm downstairs in a hospital bed, barely able to function. That was my main motivation, and I wanted to control and take back the narrative of my control of my life.
I think that period of time was tough for everybody in our house. I know it was tough for me. I was in the 5th grade when you got sick, and um I remember when you were in the coma, we stayed, me and Debony stayed with our grandparents, Momo and Papa, for pretty much the majority of the time that you were in the hospital.
Mm,
I remember the day we went to see you in the hospital. That was crazy because you had tubes and stuff just running throughout your body. Um, and then going to the rehab facility once they released you. I remember all of that. I remember that whole period, and I know it was tough. Like I said, it was an adjustment for everybody. For all of us dealing with what you had to deal with. Like I said, you had to relearn how to walk, and um, after all of that, you had to have more surgeries and things like that. So it was an adjustment for all of us. But thank God that you're still here, and I didn't lose my father, so that's a good thing. Um,
You you know, let me also say this because I don't even think I have, and this has been now some years.
mhm,
I don't think I have properly articulated to you or your sister at the time how of a burden that I perhaps have placed on you, and probably never formally apologized for it, not because I was doing something intentionally wrong, but I think I put burdens on you and expectations on you that was so undue. But it was coming from a place with me of unknown. I
mhm,
didn't really understand where I was and how, and probably some depression had set in and all
for
of that.
sure,
And my tone probably had changed, my behavior had changed in way and how I treated and responded to you guys. And this was, I mean, you had to, even fifth grade, and your sister fourth grade, have to put on my socks and help me put on my shoes and all of this. And I probably did not recognize that at the time, and I'm sure it was burden for you as well. As you said, it was hard for everybody. So I want to take this time to apologize, even if it's been this long. Apologies is always in order,
mhm,
because again, I don't think we always in a position of unknown, or in a place of unknown. We
yes.
just did not know how to operate and how to function at that
Yeah,
time.
it's different. I mean, going through something like that, no, we had never gone through anything like that as far as a family. I don't think nobody in our family has experienced anything like that,
Right.
and it was something that was out of everyone's control, out of your control. Nobody had control of that. All we had to do was just do what we had to do to, to make things the best that they could be at that time. And
Right.
I think mom did an amazing job at that. Yeah, she was definitely stressed out, and dealing with a lot of things, and knowing what mental health, and knowing what stress, and knowing what depression and all of that is now. you know uh you know we those type of that type of language really wasn't even presented then, you know what I'm saying? But knowing what that is now, we all probably was depressed, and and it was dealing with depression and things like that.
Ironically enough, that's the industry I'm in now.
Right,
In mental health and substance abuse practice.
right,
But I realized how much how depressed I was at the time. Didn't even recognize it at the time. But your whole life changed for me in the matter of one day.
right,
But for you, it was an attrition of 8 weeks. But me, it's like I went to sleep and woke up and I'm like, wait a minute, my whole life has changed.
right, right,
The things that I wanted to do anymore. Couldn't go to places I wanted. Not didn't have the independency that I had before.
right, right. Now, let's talk about some of the things that you have going on now. Fast forward to 2024. You just mentioned the mental health and drug alcohol counseling practice that you have. Speak on that. Like, what kind of drew you to go down that path and do something like that?
So as you know,
And talk
I
about like your practice, like, uh tell people what you do, and what it's all about.
sure. As you know, I've had prior to opening a practice, I was always on the Christian counseling side. I have three schools where we train and certify chaplains.
Mm-hmm.
Um, North Carolina, San Diego, Northern California, Southern California. Well, Southern California, Northern California, we just opened. Um, so what I was doing there was counseling, but it was from a spiritual standpoint, and that is through chaplaincy. So that was going very well, and I was presented a question, or I realized in reading something one time, it's what it was, and I said, "Wait a minute, why am I only focusing on a sector of people that almost like I'm preaching to the choir?" Because when I'm dealing with count Christian counseling and all of that, a lot of people feel like they don't need anything outside of God can do it and God can do it. But God give men wisdom
Mm-hmm.
to be able to do a lot more than that. So I wanted to reach the masses. So what I did was I first went to get my drug and alcohol certification. When I got my drug and alcohol certification, I says, wait a minute, I can probably do more with this. So a professor told me, he says, in a couple of years, drug and alcohol and mental health is going to be one and the same. I was like, what are you talking about? He said, it's called co-occurrent disorders. He says, I would love for you to go and get your mental health rehabilitation therapist degree. And I says, oh man, I don't want to go to school anymore. But I did the best thing I could have ever done because now I'm able to meet people not only from a Christian counseling standpoint, also from substance abuse and mental health. And the reason why I'm able to do all, I mean, it covers every facet. So, what propelled me into opening a practice was I always wanted to do more. And again, I was like, I'm not working for anyone. So, with those certifications, I got a phone call to go to La Sierra High School to work with a youth that was dealing with some substance. Well, not a youth, but youth. They was using wax all over the school.
Mm.
Uh, if you know anything about wax, the strongest form of marijuana or THC. So I got that, and then I started working with kids there. Then someone, and this is the Riverside County School District. Then someone heard about me. I think it was also a little bit because I'm this big black man and had the voice that you hear right now. So then I got a call to go to the San Bernardino School District, and I started getting all of these gigs. And then now this was I was independent doing this, so I went and got my tax ID number, start calling TaylorMade Counseling and Consulting. And then I was the last assigned job I had was I was assigned these four young men that was on the spectrum, but I would take them all over to I'm sorry, to on dates, to movies, to bowling, to just teaching them how to do life and working with them from a mental standpoint. Well, when COVID happened, all of that shut down.
Mm.
Opened my practice right in the middle of COVID. I said, let me try this practice thing because I can't take these young men out. I can't do all of this anymore. So what ended up happening was right in the middle of COVID, I said, let me advertise and marketing. Now here comes my marketing and my marketing skills coming back. I said, let me market that I am seeing people in person and I have been vaccinated 100%. We've had a line out the door since.
Mm.
That's what built our practice. It was the worst of time for so many people, but it was the best of time for me.
Yes.
There was I would go into my office every day and pick up the phone call and people breaking down on the phone. Please don't hang up. Please don't hang up. Because it was either a nurse or a doctor or a family member that has lost a family member. And I believe that's how the practice was built. Straight, no insurance or anything, all private pay.
So you have that's like the main business that you have now is your mental health and drug and alcohol counseling service practice, and the name of that company,
It's TaylorMade Counseling and Consulting.
TaylorMade Counseling and Consulting, and we'll put all the links. We'll put the link and everything in the description for your company. So just in case anyone that is dealing with anything as far as drug and alcohol, or just need counseling services or anything like that, you can definitely check out my dad's information and definitely get some help with that. Also, along with that, like you said, you have your chaplain school, which trains people all over the country to become a chaplain. Um, and I remember when you started that. What year was that when you started getting into that?
I just looked at it. It's been 11 years now.
11 years. Okay, so yeah, I remember um when you started that, and now it's grown. And you said you have how many? Three or four schools?
3 or 4 schools and over 100 and something students. About 100 has graduated from those schools. And the beauty of that, I do not teach a class anymore unless they ask me to come and teach a class for them. They run themselves.
Wow. Wow. So explain that. Explain that. What is the benefit of someone like if wanted to become a chaplain, what is like the benefit of, becoming a chaplain?
Certainly. Every sports team have a chaplain, every hospital have a chaplain, every rehabilitation center has a chaplain. So it is a profession.
Hmm.
Most people go in and think chaplaincy, you got to be a minister, you got to be a pastor.
Right.
No, it's a within itself. Everyone needs spiritual guidance. And it's funny how they will try and keep us out of every sector except for when I say keep us, people that are Christians out of every sector, when they don't realize that that's how we have to meet them or that's how we have to approach them from chaplain. It's really spiritual caregiving.
Right.
Um, there's some individual athletes that have their chaplain that stays by their side all the
Right.
time,
Right.
part of their so chaplains are very important. It helps with when you're grieving, when you're going through something, when you are dealing with something unaware and needing to get some guidance and you want Christian counseling and so I meet people right where they are. So wherever you meet me at, that's where I meet you at. From a Christian standpoint, I get a phone call. I've never advertised I'm a Christian facility, but when they call and says, "Do you do Christian counseling?" Yes, because I'm a Christian and I counsel.
Right.
So so we cover every facet of in every arena in counseling, and we're always looking for other counselors. I can, and we, I don't want to put. Well, I can put a number out there. We start all of our counselors off at $50 an hour. So we're always looking for counselors, and we always have enough work for everybody to be able to work and be happy
Got
at
you.
work.
Yeah, $50 an hour. You can't. That's a good hourly rate wage right now in these times. If you making
You know,
$50 an hour, you doing all right.
we do a lot of consulting as well. We do interventions. I just flew up to Sanford, Oakland to do an intervention. We do intervention. We do co-parenting therapy. Like that's the consulting part of our business. We find rehabs for people. We find detox centers for people. So we do counseling and consulting. The consulting part, I'll sit down and set up an intervention if someone's going through something with a eating disorder or any kind of addiction, drug addiction. We do all of that from the consulting side of our business.
I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and I was telling them about you, and um they were saying like, "Dang, your dad does a lot. He knows how to do so many different things." And I'm kind of the same way in a sense where I do a lot of different things and I have my hands in a lot of different things. Um, and I'm an entrepreneur as well. I have my own business and I'm trying to do other businesses and things like that. But what drew me to become a entrepreneur or someone that, I work a regular job, but I also have other ways of income outside of just my regular, job. But one thing that drew me to that was seeing you do a lot of things. Mama is very talented in a lot of things that she does. Our my sisters are very talented in all the things that they do. And they have their hands in so many different things. What do you think like where do you think that comes from as far as like wanting to do more than just one thing or just being gifted and talented in so many different areas? Like, where do you think that comes from?
You know, it started out of necessity. Well, not necessarily necessity, but the desire to just want to be happy
Right.
and not to uh, um, being able to depend on someone else. And then I tried to perpetuate that in supporting everything that my kids want to do as well. I don't care what you're doing. All four that was born by us, and then our bonus daughter. I don't care what you guys doing. I'm gonna be the one that support you first. In fact, I'm gonna be upset if I'm not the first one. Like, why didn't I know about that first? Because this is what I want to promote. I have a 5-year plan. I don't want to do all of this. I want to, at some point, be able to sit back and enjoy this. Again, that motivation is because of what it goes stems back to my father. My father, um, the day he left his job where he was forced off of, when he says, "Dad, you got to start working," he started going downhill from there. My father passed at an early age. My father was only in his. My father hadn't even turned 60 yet when he passed.
Wow.
So I always want to work hard now and then so that we can perhaps benefit not just me, and I never think about just me. In fact, you touched on your entrepreneurship. One of the proudest days I ever had was when we started the barbershop together, and I was to say to you, do you think you can handle this? And to just step back and watch you be able to handle it, man, that was a proud moment for me. Because I feel like you just took it and you just ran with it, and that's I have no regrets. I'm a poor father if I can't support and my kids. I'm jealous of my kids. That's never even a thought. If I'm there, it's because I'm not trying to compete. I'm trying to motivate and
Right.
encourage. That's what I want to do. So where it comes from is just wanting to be settled and enjoy the benefit of my work.
Now, as far as fatherhood, like, I don't know if you want to share your story, but before you met my mom, before you met mama, you had two daughters, and and then you when you moved to California, you and mom had me and Debony, and like fatherhood, I know, like, now I look back on it and I'm like, you were what, 20 years old when I was born, right?
Yep.
And like
I, I was 19.
19, and I
Oh my
look
God.
back on it now and I have two little boys now, but I was 28 when Matthew the third was born, and then shortly after that, 16 months later, Jace was born. Um and I can only imagine, like, I had kids at a later age, 28 years old, but I can only imagine what it was like at 19 years old, having another kid, also having two previous daughters. And like, explain, like, what was going through your mind, like, what was your mindset like at that time of your life?
2 words: no quit. I could not quit then. I could not. I had to go even harder. So if I want to add 4 words, it was no quit, 2 words, and then the other 2 words is go harder. And the reason why is because I never want anyone to say that I did not handle my responsibilities. I think if you ask my two oldest daughters right now today, is that he did everything that he could for us, and I did that because I did not want to be a statistic. I did not want to be the negative side of that statistic, that like deadbeat daddy and deadbeat father and all of that. I'm gonna let me be transparent. One of my two oldest daughters, and I got to give your mother credit for this as well. Your mother says, well, we got to do whatever we got to do to take care. or help take care of these kids. It's your responsibility. In fact, it became our responsibility. That's how wise your mother is. I went to child support in the office and gave them my name, and I says, I'm here to get child support started on this particular daughter. They were so amazed. They paraded me around the office till I was embarrassed. Look at this guy. He came to pay child support. He came to get child support started. I was literally embarrassed. But I'm so glad I did that, and I didn't know any better. And I'm so glad I didn't, because now I can appreciate, and I can say that I did everything that I could do,
Yeah.
that I think I supposed to have done. It was no one else's responsibility. It was my responsibility
Right.
to take kids. I did that, even though it was, I was young, didn't, just having fun. But however, now you made this bed, you got to lie in it.
Right.
You know.
When I found out that MJ was about to be born, well, I at the time I didn't know if I was having a girl or a boy. Um, I think I would say 99.9% of the people that knew that I was about to have a kid told me, stay in California, don't move to Texas.
Mm-hmm,
You can raise your child from there. Uh, I heard that a lot from a lot of my friends for sure.
mm-hmm,
Because at that time in California, even though I was going through some personal things. I felt like I was like coming out of those things, and I was about to personally do, hit some of the goals that I had for myself. But
mm-hmm,
God had other plans, so I moved here to Houston. And I remember the day that I left, um, I you had paid for my car to I drove my car, and you had told me to meet you at the oil change place so I can get an oil change. And you paid for
uh,
my you paid for my oil change before I got on the road headed to Texas. And one thing that you told me was, go take care of your responsibility, take care of your responsibility. And I think that that has been my driving force, for moving out here. You know, I didn't want to be a part of that statistic either. I didn't want somebody to say, "Oh, you're a deadbeat dad," and this and that. And you know, uh, you know, Jasmine is the type of woman that she wasn't gonna go for that either. She was, I had to come and take care of my responsibilities.
mm,
And I think that that is very powerful because I enjoy being a father. I love being a father. Like it's fun, it's tiring, it's fun. And I have two of the smartest little boys that, and I'm blessed. I'm really blessed to have two of the best little kids in the world, So I just thank you for putting that in me as well, just taking care of responsibility, because I could have easily stayed in California and
mm.
tried to be a dad, from California, but I knew it wasn't gonna work.
Yeah, I remember my exact words. I said, "Handle your responsibilities."
Mm-hmm.
Those were my words. Because did I want you to go to Texas because of what all of the unknown? No, I didn't want you to go, but I also know that you had a responsibility in Texas.
Right.
You got your responsibility and obligation was no longer to your mother and I. So your responsibility, your biggest responsibility was in Texas. So I said, go handle your business. In fact, I want to make sure you get there. Here's this oil change. Because you gotta have your responsibilities.
Yeah.
We're called men, and God says that. He says, in business be men. Running a family is a business.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta handle your business.
Definitely.
We all, the Bible says, if we deny, if we don't handle our family, we have denied the faith.
Mm-hmm.
We've denied the faith. If we do not handle our responsibilities as a man, especially, we have a responsibility and we have to handle it.
One one thing that I want to talk about before we get off of this subject and we talk about something else, but um when I did find out I was having a boy, I think I had called you. We had a conversation, and at the time I was being very rebellious with a lot of my family members, and I was looking at life a totally different way. And like I said, I was going through some things, growing pains more so of anything, just growing
Mhm.
up and trying to figure myself out and trying to become the man that I've always strived to be. But I had to go through some things to be where I'm at now. But uh when I found out I was having a boy, I had told Jasmine, I was like, I'm not naming him Matthew. Like, I'm not. Like, I don't want to have. I don't want to name him Matthew. Not more so because I didn't like the name or anything. I just, in my heart of hearts, like I just didn't want to. Not really like. Not saying that I didn't want anything to be associated with him from you or anything like that. It was just I always said I wasn't gonna name my son after me, and I think me and you had a conversation on the phone. And when I hung up that phone, I told Jasmine, I was like, "Is we had a name picked out. He was actually going to be named Jace,
Mhm.
and I had told her I was like, I'm gonna name him Matthew the third, and she was just like, why? And I explained to her why. And
Mhm.
luckily she went along with it. She was like, okay, all right, that's what you want to do. We'll name him Matthew the third. Tell me how you felt like when I told you that I was gonna name him after well you, and then after me.
Why are you trying to make this an Oprah Winfrey moment? Um, it was everything to me because not only was it, first of all, I thought about you.
Mhm.
And after thinking about you, then I immediately thought about him. I says, not only now, see, this goes beyond the Taylor name because the Taylor was going to be there, right?
Right.
But when you have been responsible for someone, to think that you have been responsible enough to carry your name, not only for them, but for their kids,
Mhm.
it's I really can't articulate what it felt like. It was just a feeling that I've never had before. I've had great feelings, but that one hit different.
Mhm.
Um, and that's right now today. He's 4 years old.
Yeah.
I still cannot articulate how that made me feel because there's not another feeling, and it's and if you haven't been there, it's hard to really explain it. When you came along, just to give you some content, um, to me it was no question. It was no question, and let me tell you why. Because I felt like, a boy? What?
Yeah.
Because you still gonna carry on the name because you Taylor. But I'm talking about a boy. No, he has to be. Now your mother. I don't know what. Oh, I'm gonna tell you another thing that we So out of all 12 of my mother kids, I I think I'm a few of them. I'm one of the few that don't have a middle name.
Mhm.
And she says, well, I want to include my dad's name in there as well. So we'll call you James. I wanted it pure. I wanted it. I said, no. So, but then that was our compromise. That was
Right.
our compromise. I said, okay, then it is what it is. But because she felt the same, it's funny. She felt also compelled to put her father's name in there because her father never had a boy.
Mhm.
And I'm so glad my wisdom kicked in and says, okay, yeah, this is cool. You know. So no, I still can't totally explain it. All I know, it was the best feeling in the world. When y'all told me and his name is gonna be, I was like, what? Yeah,
One
yeah.
the funny thing, I had came back to California like a month before he was born. I forget what I came to California for. But I came out there like about a month or so before he was born, and uh uh I had when Nate was alive, rest in peace to my uncle Nate. When he was alive, I had asked him when Trey was born. I was like, why did you name him Trey? And he was just the same answer like you gave him. I'm
Mm,
naming him after me because that's this is I'm a father of a boy. This is my boy.
yeah,
So when I came back to California before MJ was born, and I told Uncle Nate, I was like, yeah, I'm naming him Matthew the Third. He was like, see, I told you, I knew you was gonna name. You can't get away with it. And so that was like me and his thing. Like that was cool because I told Nate, I was like, you named your son after you. I'm not gonna name my son after me, and all of that or whatever. Um, but yeah, it's a cool thing, and like I'm glad that Jasmine went along with it because I don't think I don't think she'd mind. I don't think she had an issue with it, but I think that we had already had a name already set and everything,
right.
and
Right.
you know it is what it is. And then we had another son 16 months later, and we was able to name him Jace. So she was happy about that anyway.
Right.
Hey folks, it's Matt here. Now, I'm all about keeping things real and flavorful, whether it's in our conversations or in the kitchen. And speaking of flavor, I've got something special to share with you today. Southern Draw Seasoning, which is the sponsor of today's video. If you're like me and you love that down home Southern taste, then you're going to want to try this. Southern Draw is more than just a seasoning, it's like a taste of tradition in every sprinkle. Whether you're grilling up some chicken, roasting veggies, or even making a good old pot of gumbo, Southern Draw adds that perfect blend of spices to make your dishes sing. And the best part, it's made with all natural ingredients. So you can feel good about what you're feeding your family. No artificial stuff, just pure, authentic flavor. So why not bring a little Southern charm to your next meal? Head on over to southerndrawshop.com and use the code TMTP20 at checkout for 20% off of your first order. Trust me, once you try it, you'll never want to try any other seasonings again. Again, that's southerndrawshop.com and the code is TMTP20 for 20% off. Get ready to taste the South, y'all. Um. So yeah, before we get out of here, so let's talk about one more thing before we get out of here. You currently have your own seasoning company, if I'm saying that correct, like your own line of seasonings. Um,
Right.
which you're going to be a sponsor on one of my episodes. We're gonna do some ads or whatever on that as well. But what was behind that? Because I mean, I think like some years ago you wanted to do it or you had tried to do it. Um, so what went behind that? You do also have a catering business as well. Let's put that out there. My dad is a he does everything. So you also have a catering business as well. Is that what prompted you to do your line of seasonings, or what made you do that?
No, so most people don't know is quiet as a kept. I've always wanted to be a chef.
Uh-huh.
Always wanted. So I have a passion for food, and I've always been told that I can cook. So I again seeing the potential of branding and perhaps being able to have my own. It all really boils back down to ownership
Got
and
you.
and having your own. Now, I, I think Laurie's is good. I think a lot of seasons is good, but I've invested time and research and thought into this for years and for years, and it just finally came together. All the pieces just finally came together, and I never really gave up on it. It's Southern Draw, and Southern Draw, I didn't even come up with a name. It was someone else that was talking to me about it, and he was like, "Man, you're passionate about food." And he came to me, and says, "Man, you know the name I thought about?" And he told me, and I was like, "Can I use that name?" So Southern draw is a lingo. It's a lingo. It's it's a draw on
Mm-hmm.
your like how you talk in the South.
Right.
So so and I thought that was a good brand to latch onto. And he was like, man, please use it. Um, so we have a full line of seasoning. We have two hot sauces, an original hot sauce, and these all I created. Original hot sauce. We have a chipotle hot sauce. We have two barbecue sauces. We have a southern peach barbecue sauce, original barbecue sauce, and then we have six lines of seasoning and spices, which is a beef blend. We have GPS, which is garlic, salt, and pepper. We have a chicken and pork mao. We have a French fry seasoning, and yeah, so we have six seasonings, and and we have a Southern Cajun season, and they all are doing very very well. And I appreciate all the support and people that are listening. We will be one of the supporters on this platform as well.
Yeah, I've had the chance. I cook a lot too. I cook a lot, especially now having the boys. They eat a lot, so I'm always cooking. The air fryer is my best friend. Uh, and the griddle is I cook on that every day.
Right.
But the French fry seasoning got that. The kids, I sprinkle seasoning on that from the straight in the air fryer. The chicken seasoning, the chicken and pork one, the GPS. What else did I have? What else do I have? I have the the beef blend. I got that one too. Barbecue sauce. Ben ran out of that. I got to get another order of that. Cause Jace, he loved the barbecue sauce. Him and MJ, they love the barbecue sauce. So I got to get another order of that. But definitely, I'm going to try more things, and we're going to put the link in the description. And also, these seasonings are healthy as well, right?
Yeah, there's no GPS. That's our
That's the
logo. You
logo
see,
right there. Yep, Southern Draw.
that's us. And then we have our blend.
Mm-hmm.
These are our spices here, and that's our look. Just so that everybody can see that's our look. I don't want to inundate this podcast with that, but that's what we're going to be
Yes.
able to come and show you, or to lend to this platform, and we're happy to do it.
Yeah, we'll put the link in the description as well. So if you guys want to check those out, you can order. You also have a Christmas line or a Christmas package as well for the
Yeah.
holidays, like a holiday package.
Yes.
Okay, so
Um,
yeah,
Everyone that's on our when this airs, you'll be able to. This will probably air before September the 28th.
yes, for
September.
sure.
If you're a part of our main page, which is Southern Draw Cooking, we're going to take you behind the scene and let you watch our production. We're doing a huge production for Christmas on September the 28th that will be putting out so much content.
Okay,
But but if you're part of that page, Southern Draw Cooking page,
on
you
Facebook, right?
yeah, on Facebook, you're gonna get some really good insight. And then also you get to, because right now I don't cook. I just show the product. I just show the product, but you'll get to watch me cook some food with my videographer that's flying in from Las Vegas to California. He's amazing, and we're going to be doing a lot of cooking there as well, and giving away some stuff.
Okay,
So
cool. September 28th, right?
September 28th, yes.
Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, we'll definitely make sure we get that information out there. Um, I just want to say thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you for being a part of the first episode of the Matt Taylor podcast. This was very, very fun. I learned a little bit, got to have candid conversations. And this is what this podcast is going to be about. This podcast is going to be about having just candid conversations with one another and learning and, learning from one another. And, hopefully this podcast and this conversation will help someone else. Maybe there's someone out there that doesn't speak to their dad often, or whatever. Maybe this conversation will spark that person to pick up the phone and hit up their pops, or whatever. But I appreciate you for coming on and being a part of the first episode.
You know what? Let me just say this as well. I want to really give you your props. You have you've shifted, and maybe fathers can learn from this as well. We need to go from having son daughter conversation with our kids, or kid conversations with our kids, to having adult conversations with our kids, and we have to find out where that sweet spot is to have that shift. Now, as an adult, how do we have adult conversation with our kids? We talk about things and show them things and show them our true selves, like perhaps we didn't do when we didn't think they could handle it.
Right.
But now there's no more secrets. We have to show them the real thing. We have to show them pain, because the only time you can get over pain is to understand that it is pain.
Right.
So the struggle, we have to share that. So many times in our culture, we fail to share on the struggle. So our kids sometimes look at us like, oh, they've never been through anything. No, we have to show them that side so that they can know that, okay, my parents went through it. Because so many kids, man, think their parents have never gone through anything.
Right. Right.
It's, we've never shown it to them. And rightfully so in so many cases, because that's not the kid's responsibility.
Right.
And your mother and I never want to put our responsibilities on you guys. We've always said, I've always told your mother, even when you became adults, I says, I don't want them, if they have to come back home and stay in a room or whatever, their responsibility is not to pay bills here.
Mm-hmm.
I want to put themselves in a position so that they can leave here. Not charge them rent or whatever. And we've always said, you can stay here as long as you want to, as long as you're working and going to school,
Mm-hmm.
or going to school. And so I said all that to say that parents have to sometimes shift. Now, did I always know this and understand this? No. But since I do know it now and understand, we have to now start having adult conversations with our kids when we recognize it is the right time.
Yeah.
And it's important to do that. And son, I want to just say I'm proud of you, and keep taking care of your family. That's always my old. Because I believe if you're taking care of your family and doing the right thing, it disciplines you. There's a whole lot of
Yes, for
stuff
sure.
that when you're a parent and when you want to be a father and you want to be a great husband and all of that, there's some stuff that you're going to do that you otherwise wouldn't do.
Definitely.
So I truly believe fatherhood and becoming a husband gives you another level of discipline that requires to be successful. So I want to say I'm proud of you, and thank you for having me on.
I appreciate that. My before we go, one more thing. Just to piggyback off of what you just said, I think it goes back to having that where we were talking about you having your third child at the age of 19. You know what I'm saying? Like you like there's so many things that you hadn't gone through or even experienced or learned from, and I think um that's why I said I appreciate more so, because I mean I could have been a father at 19 years old. It didn't happen, but uh I'm glad that I was able to have a kid at the age of 28, because my outlook on certain things at the age of 19 is totally different 10 years later at the age of 28, 29.
Right.
And so I think a lot of that has to deal with being mature and knowing what life is all about. And in between that time, I had to go through growing pains myself, throughout my early 20s, mid 20s. I had to deal with a lot of things, and I think just growing up allowed me to do that. Like, I have friends that are my age, a few years older than me, and they have boys, and I'm literally talking to these dudes like within the last week or so, and they're having so many issues with they got teenagers, and they're my age, and they're like, dude, I don't even know what to do. And it's just like this and that, this and that. It's just like, first we got to realize, like, remember when we was 15 years old, we was doing that same stuff that they doing. So now you have to kind of approach it a little bit different, and so yeah, I'm just glad that we have a relationship. I don't think our relationship has always been Candid, I think, is grown to what it is now, you know. But I'm thankful that we do have a relationship. Like I said, a lot of my friends, they don't have a relationship with their dads, or they don't have a relationship with their families. They've ostracized themselves. And so I'm just glad that we're able to have this conversation and be able to share it with everyone. And I hope, if you are watching this podcast, I hope this has helped you on tonight. Please remember to like, comment, and share this podcast. If you are watching this on YouTube, please subscribe and turn your notifications on so you are aware of when we will be posting future episodes. So thank you again for joining us. Dad, thank you again for hopping on the first episode of this podcast. Again, we're growing, we're going up from here. So thank you so much for participating and being on the show. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye. Peace.